Hello viewers. The Ministry of Education and Human Resources has a very specific objective: to achieve world-class quality education. But what is quality education? And what are the challenges and perspectives of quality education? Well, to help us understand quality education, we are pleased to welcome in our studio Professor Vinayagum Chinapah, UNESCO Regional Advisor for Educational Planning in the Arab States. Well, Professor Chinapa, welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, Professor, what is your interpretation of quality education?
To start, I would like to just insist on one point. Quality education can be defined in different ways depending on who defines it and in which context and for whose benefit. Okay. So you can define quality education from the UNESCO perspective, which is to see that every single child have access to a minimum standard of education for a given period of time, exposed to a minimum standard of qualified teachers and trained teachers, be exposed to a minimum quality guaranteed for curriculum. So all these, when you put together, you want to create an education which is human rights based, one aspect which is very important, an education which is directly related to value system, that is also quality, an educational system which is forward looking, not only for exams, but to develop the human kind. So when you put all these together, quality education can be defined by different stakeholders according to their own priorities and concerns. Okay. And we have to be very, very careful to answer this question from an individual standpoint, because I can define it from the UNESCO perspective, which I told you, the human rights base, but as well as when you ask employers, they would have the definition for quality education should be tightly related to the labor market and to production unit.
Okay. Well, what is the reason behind insisting on quality education for all?
The major reason has been that for a given period of time, when most countries of the world have been, let's say, assume independent, into brackets, then nation building was a priority for all these countries through education. That is the problem of access. Today we have access. We have guaranteed access within the framework of education for all. But access is not enough. So we need to know also what goes on in the classroom, what goes on in the mind of the children, what goes on in the society at large. So quality is not a trade-off for quantity. That is sometimes the mistake we make. It goes together. You cannot sacrifice quality for quantity or quality for quantity.
Okay. Now, earlier you mentioned about the various aspects of quality educations. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes. I mean, the first aspect which I mentioned earlier is this issue of accessibility. You can provide access, but if the quality of the schools itself, the buildings, the infrastructure are not the same for all and every child, yeah, then you are not creating quality actually, you are creating discrepancy in provision. So you are mixing access and quality. Okay. If you have in certain, that's why we insist on the word of quality education for all, yeah, which is different from quality education, as a simple definition, So when we talk about quality education for all, we want to see that teachers, trained teachers, are everywhere, and mainly for the needy, for example, not for those who are already well equipped. We need to have schools which respect working hours and timetable. I'm talking worldwide. I'm not talking about the context of Mauritius. Yeah. You see, because in some countries of the world, yeah, that kids go only 30, 40 days a year to school. And because of many reasons, there are post-conflicts, there are war, there are all these. So when we talk about quality, we talk about the teaching, the learning, the content, which is the curriculum. We talk about governance, for example, yeah, management, leadership at school. We talk about structure of incentives regarding the entire personnel of school. So all these boiled together makes up what we can call quality education for all.
Okay. Now, you mentioned lots of aspects, various aspects as well, but which of these aspects are applicable to Mauritius?
I think that the one single constant that one observes across the world, that without good motivated teachers, there is no education and no quality education. Okay? So we have to understand the whole aspect of the teaching itself. You see, teaching is not a job, it is a mission.
Okay.
Right? And you cannot get anything from human being if they are not motivated. Right? So the teaching component of quality is the most predominant one.
Okay. And then what else for the students, for instance?
For the students, of course, the students, they are, I would not say the object of teaching and learning. They are actually the subject. But we consider sometimes that they are the one who receives only.
Okay.
No, they can create, they can give, they can innovate. But without the support of their family, without the support of the parents, it's halfway. We cannot rely only on the school to provide education, training, culture, whatever you can name it. But the role, another element which I will single out, which is equally important, and sometimes in research we found more important, is the role of parents. Okay. I mean, what does that mean, role of parents? How they engage themselves, in the day-to-day assignments given, for example, from teachers. How do they ask their children, how is life at school? Because, many things happen at school.
Yeah.
Are they happy with their teachers? Are they happy with their fellow kids, fellow friends, peers and all these things? These are issues that also need to be tackled. So you can see there is a chain. There is not one without the other.
Well, earlier you stressed about the contribution of teachers. So can you tell us how teachers contribute in promoting quality education?
Yes, teachers, they are role models anyhow. For any young person, if you can ask yourself and even myself, who are our role models? They are our parents first and then our teachers. So if you want to achieve a certain world-class or education or a certain standard which you are proud of, it means that you need to rely on those who create such a standard, and those who create such a standard are the teachers themselves. So they, through their teaching, through the way they take the profession as something which is so vital for the society where they work, and also focusing on children not as only learners, but as human beings, the future generation. So the teacher can influence in the behavior of children, as role model, as somebody who transfers knowledge to the learner.
Yeah.
Also, what is extremely important is that they can be as facilitator, but also as a guarantor for certain security of life, certain peace in the mind of children, because we cannot let ourselves be exposed to the world which is not so secure, peaceful today. So teachers do have many of such roles to play. Mm-hmm. So quality education does not mean only passing an examination. That is the difference. Quality education means much more than that. It's much more broader, and it deals with to have a healthy child at a school. It has to do with behavior, because we know that there are many things happening in school today which never happened earlier. Yeah. So how can you guarantee? We are having a lot of unexpected diseases coming all through the planet, where prevention comes when the disease is there, but it should come before.
Yeah.
We have the problem of drugs. We have a lot of serious problems that are tightly related to learning and quality. Okay. So that's where the teacher is somebody that the children look at as role model. Yeah. And to me, that I myself have been a teacher, I understand that if I did not have a good teacher, I would not be sitting with you today and talk.
Yeah, but teachers need to be properly equipped to deal with many cases, as you just mentioned, about drugs, disease, and so on. So what should be done to motivate teachers, one, and secondly, equip the teachers with knowledge and,
upgrading them and so on. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You cannot talk about motivation as something which is just isolated. Mm-hmm. The motivation of teachers, that has to do with the whole structure of incentives and rewards, you know. Because to be able to achieve a certain quality of a product, you need to motivate. I mean, today we do not talk about teaching as just a service to the nation only. It's much, much more than a service to the nation. So in order to motivate the teachers, you need to have seminars, encourage them to participate in seminars, encourage them to do research, encourage them to go out of the school and talk to the community, be involved with the society, be more, and recognize that these initiatives and these efforts are being rewarded and systematically, you know, put into a data bank or whatever you have, so that these additional efforts, extra efforts that are so important are also being rewarded. Otherwise, you know, it's putting more workload on already, you know, we know how situations are in the teaching profession.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned about the role of parents in promoting quality education.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that?
Now, I have been a fervent critic of private tuition from more than 4 decades in this country. My own doctoral thesis is about it.
Okay.
And I don't understand why we should pay more for something which is public. Right? Why? We could use that same amount of money in order to invest better in the education of our children. For example, that's where the parents should come in. I find it, this is a personal, it's not a UNESCO, I should not be quoted for that. My personal view, it is my duty as a parent to guarantee quality education for my child. It's not to give it the responsibility to the school to do it for me. So if I have money, I can spend it wisely and see to it that I spend time with my children. For example, I can see that I give my children whatever they would like, they would need to, and I can monitor them, because parents do not monitor the progress of their children. They only wait when the exams comes, and always wait for the good or the bad news.
Okay.
You see, you should be a partner. So I'm insisting that parents should be the partner of the whole process.
Okay.
Not buy.
Of course. But you mentioned about monitoring of work at home. So what advice would you give to parents to monitor the work of their wards?
In the first place, they should be there, present, after school hours. They should be around, spending more time with their kids and see whether the homework are being done, try to accompany them in case they need. The children should not be feared, afraid of parents, oh, I don't know this and that. They should be, I would say, as a friend, as a learner.
More communication, you mean?
So that, you know, because many of the problems are not of a cognitive nature. Mm-hmm. That is where we have failed in many systems of education. We think that if you're not good, it's because either you're stupid or you're lazy. There's nobody who's stupid, there's nobody who's lazy on this world. Okay. Everybody should be given, once the opportunity is being given, once the parents, you know, the warmth from the parents, when the child sees, oh, daddy is interested in my maths lessons, mommy is interested in my language lessons, the child gains a lot of comfort in that. Not, have you done your homework? Have you finished your homework? That is not a contribution of the parents. It's a punishment.
Yes, of course. Well, we've talked about the role of teachers, parents, but what about the role of decision makers?
You come to the core issue now, because they are the ones who shape the entire process. And I think the decision makers are not interested in details. Decision makers, I'm talking about policy makers, they want to be assisted by very concrete, tangible recommendations of how to improve in the case of quality. They don't do research, they want research to help them. And the decision makers sometimes may make wrong decisions because of the wrong information, but they are the most important, category of people to make the decision. So they make decision. Yeah. Now they don't sit and just make the decision. They are also being advised on these decisions. Now one have to see to it that these decisions are objective, they are centered toward the vision which they have for education. You must have a vision.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise you better don't talk about it at all. You need to have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy as a decision maker, then you better don't exist as a decision maker. Once you have the vision, the strategy, then you need to have an action, a plan for doing an action. All these should be coherent, and it should be based on a participatory approach. So decision maker is a good decision maker when he or she or they encourage, that all the information comes from the different partners. Okay. Not I know, you do. No, it should come from everybody. And that way, decision making is a process which embodies full participation of all the major stakeholders.
Okay.
Right?
So you just mentioned about wrong decisions can be taken. What could be the consequences on quality education?
Oh, it can destroy the whole generation, towards achieving a certain, as I said, vision for the society. Because education is not something you invest today, you get it after a long period of time. You can design a system which is counterproductive. We have seen it happening. That's why education is in every policy maker. Every election anywhere in the world, the top issue is education. So if a wrong decision is being made, for example, on grading, on structure, how many years of schooling, number of hours of teaching, how many subjects you should include in the curriculum, all these are important decisions. Although they have a technical, professional value, they need also to be considered in terms of resources, instead of doability. Can you realize all these things, or you just add? We have seen a lot of reform in this country where subjects are being added, and they disappear the same way they have been adding. So this is where the decision maker should be empowered to take the right decision.
Right. Now, if you were told that high quality management process is as important as the role of parents, teachers, and decision makers, what would be your opinion?
I will fully agree with that. I would say that don't only preach. If you preach something, you yourself should be the first one to do what you preach. So it means that I was mentioning earlier, for the young children, the young generation, they need role model. Yeah. I see the same thing about management and governance. Management shows the way to all the parties concerned, that if we want to achieve world-class education, quality education, we should ourselves show some elements of what does that mean. We should be tolerant. We should listen to our co-workers, co-partners. We should be promoting dialogue. We should not be dictating to others. Then we ourselves as, managers are giving wrong signals. We should be punctual ourselves. We should be results-based. We should not wait, keep waiting. I see, tomorrow, maybe. No. So management means a lot. It means you give the right signals so that everybody follow your footsteps.
All right. Now, Professor, how do you think quality education will contribute to the overall development of the Mauritian society?
Well, you know that there's a lot of debate over a long period of time in this country about, I would say, I would not say quality education is something old in our context. It's something which is coming because of the world pressure on we need to devote a lot on quality education. Mauritian, I'm afraid to say that we do so well, but from the outside, but from inside we see that we are not doing it that well. That is I've been away for more than 3 decades and going around the world. I'm so proud of being a Mauritian, so proud of being educated through our own system here. The lack of reference to what other countries belonging to our category create a lot of confusion in this country that we are not doing very well. We need to do, I don't know, much more. But who is telling that we are not doing well? By which standard? What are the benchmark?
Yeah.
What are the benchmark? I mean, how do we know we are doing so bad? We need to make reference to something. You cannot say that we are not good without knowing what is good.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So I believe that the Mauritian education has been always good. It has improved over time, but there is always room for improvement.
Right.
The US, the UK, France, all countries around the world are improving their system. So it's not a question of remaining idle, say, oh, we are good now. No, this is a process.
Yeah.
So Mauritian's education system is actually at the same standard as the most affluent nations in the world. So there's no harm against whatever who is criticizing, but they have to get clear-cut benchmarks. Where do we stand?
And what are the benchmarks for our system of education?
For example, let's talk about teaching, because this is the core of the issue. A qualified teacher, a trained and qualified teacher, is a prerequisite for learning at whatever levels.
Okay.
And if we look at our system, we do have them. I mean, trained and qualified, there are two different aspects. First is the degree or the education that you have, and the other one is the training takes place. Number one. Number two, a given size of class size or teacher-pupils ratio.
Okay.
We are world class, our standard. I mean, we are meeting the standards set by UNESCO and others. We are also talking about, the length of teaching time, the calendar, teaching calendar. Again, we can measure, we can compare to other countries. The one that we have been doing, which many countries are now used, is the assessment of learning, that is learning outcomes, comparing children from all around the world, see which country is number one, which country is number two. I don't think Mauritius needs to go into that. Otherwise, it doesn't make. So from all angles, I would say we are having these benchmarks, but we need to monitor the progress.
Right.
You may have good benchmark, but you have to monitor. For example, if we say that we need to class a teacher-pupils ratio of, let's say, 1 teacher per 25. An example, right? According to UNESCO, it is 1 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we do 1 to 20, it means we are moving.
Away from the benchmark.
We're improving.
Yeah.
Like, in earlier days, our teachers did not have any, I would say, in-service training, which was certificate or degree based. We have done it over a period of time. So we are moving ahead, but we can do better. And no universities in the world are refusing Mauritian students. That is one good benchmark.
Okay. Now, what would be your advice to teachers who are, I should say, the main stakeholders in education?
Be proud of the profession. Be happy. Continue. Like we say, the struggle goes on. Teachers all over the world are underpaid. We know that. When there's a cut, they are the ones who are being cut the first. Teachers, nurses, those who render service to the nation, because they are the ones who are always being subjected to cuts of budgets and so on. And I would say that if I've joined the teaching profession with the heart, not only with the brain or with the purse, then you are doing a great job, and continue and go on for your rights.
Okay. And what about an advice, a message for our students? Well,
you are from an island, but an island which has such a high reputation. When you would go abroad for your further studies, just say you are Mauritian. That's enough. All the doors are open to you.
Well, thank you a lot, Professor Chinapah. It's been nice and an honor to have you here. Okay. Well, dear viewers, we've reached to the end of our today's program. Thank you for watching. Until we meet next time, it's goodbye from us.